Look at what's going on with this. You can see it from a distance. There's that green and red together, and so that's a tight couplet, and this is moving northeast. Winds near the surface are out of the southeast, so that's helping create a spinning mechanism and momentum with that. And therefore, we do have near surface indications now of rotation. So that means there's a possibility of a tornado that's tightened up, and we saw that starting to show up at last break here a few minutes ago. So this will continue to track to the northeast. Stacia's doing a storm track, and she'll have that for us in just a minute. But in the meantime, if you are in the areas of western and southwestern Haskell County, and you're near just southwest of Whitefield, you do have to be very much aware of this storm. We have a lot of lightning strikes, mainly on the north and west sides of it, not so much on the south and east. So it's going to be hard to see. It is on kind of the leading edge of it, so it's a little bit easier to tell. We have had some indications, though, of some winds, some strong damaging wind potential with that from Russellville and just north of Quinton as that continues to track to the northeast. Stacia has the latest on the storm track. Stacia.
Travis, this area of circulation is moving northeast at about 40 to 45. And so take a look at the latest track here. These are going to be communities where we want you to take your tornado precautions. We don't necessarily have a tornado on the ground, but this is really strong wind potential and the chance that a tornado could develop at any time. So Hug Heart, it's now. You need to take those tornado precautions. Whitefield is going to be about 6:56 and continuing on to Stigler at around 7:03. So this storm is moving into, again, area where we can continue to see it have the potential to rotate. Also strong winds, lots of lightning, and also heavy rain. So Hoyt 6:54, Whitefield 6:56, Briartown 6:58, and Stigler at 7:03. Trav.
All right, thanks. And then hopefully that will start to weaken a little bit once it gets a little bit further down the road, because it's going to run into areas that have already had rain and thunderstorms, and that should knock it down. But in the meantime, if you are in these zones, we do want you to be aware of what's happening. Bob is near Tahlequah right now, and he's getting heavy thunderstorm at this point. We'll talk to Bob in just a moment, but you can see what's happening here. This is, again, southeast, and so with this happening here on the south side, this would be the most likely area for this to happen. So as you can see, tornado warning until 7:30, basically. That'll be moving right across Haskell County and then moving northeast. Additional heavy rains on the north side, just coming back up across the Warner area. Further north, Sequoia is keeping an eye on what's going on with this particular cell, so he'll be intercepting that along with Val. And then back further to the north, Bob's in the middle of a severe thunderstorm at this moment. Hey, Bob available right now? Hey, Bob, quick update from you on the storm that's Tahlequah. What do you have?
Yeah. Hey, Travis, we're getting about probably 35, 40 mile an hour gusts. I'm getting small, probably dime-sized hail, and just torrential rain. I'm on the south side of Tahlequah right now. They had one cell move through about 10 minutes ago. It covered the ground with pea-sized hail, and we're getting the second storm in right now. Back to you.
All right. Yeah, that looks like a ton of water. So if you're in the Tahlequah area, just be advised for that. We do not have an active tornado warning for you. We do not. So that's good news. But if you're down by Quinton, we do. We'll talk about that again in just a moment. There is circulation here, though. So this is that circulation feature that's been there for a long time. Over Park Hill, Bob's literally in the middle of it right at this point. So he's on the south side of Tahlequah. And so that's circulation coming right over him at this moment. And so as that continues to move to the northeast, I'll take it up around Briggs and Eldon. So you will have to be aware. You're going to get heavy rain. You'll get some gusty winds, 40 miles an hour. And if this would enhance, then we'll have to be a little bit more aware of what's going on, because there is a chance it could for a little while. As it goes further east, it's going to get into some rain-cooled area a little bit more, so it won't be quite as impressive as what's going on right now. But still, it's a pretty intense line of thunderstorms right in the Tahlequah area that extends back down to the south. And so that's part of the problem. A little bit further south, again, we'll go back to our tornado warned storm for you guys, give you an idea, again, what's going on here. This is Porham on the north side. And then this will be just southwest of Whitefield. So this is just tracking northeast at this moment. That's a circulation feature right here. So you should have a lowering right in this location. Going to be hard to see because it's so dark. But with a little bit of lightning strikes, you'll be able to tell that. But if you're in Whitefield, we'd like for you to be taking cover at this particular moment. There's a high probability you could get some wind damage, and you could also end up having some issues with a lot of lightning strikes that could lead to some power outages as well. So that's one of the things that's happening right now in that particular zone. The circulation feature is continuing to hang in there. And so this is in a spot where you would expect that. This is just a big wall of water pretty much coming across the area. It kind of arcs back to the south and southwest a little bit. But this is the circulation feature right in here. And so that's just on the south and west sides of Whitefield. That's why we'd like for you to stay away from outside windows and walls to make sure you're careful on what's going on. And then Stacia has a storm track on what's going on with that. Stacia.
Travis, I've tracked the leading edge of this storm as it's going to move through parts of Haskell County here. So that area of circulation, like you mentioned, just southwest of Whitefield. This storm itself is moving northeast at about 45 to almost 50 at times. So here's the latest track with it. This is going to put it in Whitefield at 6:55. Briertown also around 6:55. So that time hasn't really changed. It's just on the west side of town now, that leading edge is. Stigler would be about 7:10, Vian 7:16, and 7:18 for Tomahawk. So again, we're watching that area of circulation down by Hughart, but this storm, very heavy rain, lots of lightning, strong winds, and that circulation feature near Hughart will track up towards Whitefield. So we want you to pay attention to the storm very closely.
All right. Thanks, Stacia. Appreciate it. So again, active tornado warning. I'll go till 7:30 as that continues to track north and east. Back to the north a little bit. We continue to have heavy rain and thunderstorm activity. Bob, looks like some of that's moved out of his immediate zone, but there's still heavy rainfall. That's going to continue for a while as well. Hey, Bob, quick update from you. Any additional information that you need to share with us about what's going on in Tahlequah?
No, the heaviest part of this cell's moving on to the east. But anybody to the east, we're getting a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning strikes out of this. So hopefully we don't get any houses yet. Back to you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's what we don't want to have. Because there's when you get a lot of lightning strikes like this, that's always a possibility. And so that's part of that heavy thunderstorm that has continued to move up from out of the Eufaula area. And so that's why there's still circulation feature there. Broader view, if we could, for a moment. And again, this is an active severe thunderstorm warning. Our tornado warning is on the south side, just west of Stigler near Whitefield. And then to the north, Brandon's watching what's going on with these cells that are pushing in through Nowata County, eastern portions of Washington County, and also up into Craig County, western Craig County. Now, this is an area that will pick up rain, or we'll take the rain up in this area. So that's good news. This could back build. In fact, we have a little bit of shower activity, looks like around the Sperry area, but that's about it. So these are the main areas of concern. And then as you look down, we'll come back down into our storm that's down across portions of Sequoia, western Sequoia County, south of Sequoia himself. And that's going to be always a little fun as we go through the spring season. But this is moving again from Whitefield, Brierton, and then back down just southwest. And so here's our circulation feature. It's not as strong, but still you can see that arcing area. So this is getting pushed out. So we should get some winds of 50, maybe 60 miles an hour in here. And so that'll be coming up across Whitefield. So if you're in this area, we'd like for you to take cover. This doesn't look horrible, but it's a tornado warning. So that's kind of bad. That's almost horrible. That is horrible for some if there's a tornado on the ground. But this looks like it's going to be a very strong wind, and then you'll have your lightning strikes associated with that, and you'll have heavy rain, and you won't be able to see anything. That's why we'd like for you to be cautious about what you're doing and what you're kind of watching. And if you're watching it, you're going to be not really able to see what's going on because it's just a wall of water and occasional lightning strikes in that wall of water. You just can't tell. So again, it's very gusty winds that are in here. I'd say there's probably winds of 40 to 60 miles an hour. And so in that, embedded in that area is going to be a little bit of a possibility around the Whitefield area right now. So you're in Whitefield at this particular moment. So there is a heavy rain band right across you guys at this particular time. That goes up to Brierton. And so if you're to the north and east now, Brierton and northeast of Whitefield, you guys are up next. Circulation again is not as evident as it was just a moment ago. But we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on what's going on. Stacia, what do you have for storm track?
Travis, this storm track is in Whitefield now, and then of course Briertown very shortly after that. Still moving northeast 45 to 50. We want folks in Whitefield to take those tornado precautions now. Lowest level interior rooms, stay away from windows and doors. Stigler, this would be about 7:04, but passing at least that area of circulation north of Stigler. Still you can get some strong winds though and heavy rain coming in if this storm continues more east than northeast, but right now it's trending more northeast, and that will take it up towards the Kerr Reservoir at 720, Carlisle at 721, Vian at 724. I've been watching power outages over the course of tonight, and earlier this evening, Brandon Wells, he had power flashes from a tornado-warned storm up near Inola. So we've just been monitoring, of course, the power outages across eastern Oklahoma, and we haven't had too many come in. There's 2 counties, Wagner County and Pittsburgh County, where we are getting customers reported without power. About 500 customers in Wagner County and around 100 customers down in Pittsburgh County. These storms here over the last couple of hours have been very good at producing lightning, so we may see more power outages as we head into the rest of this evening. And remember, there is a tornado watch in place, and this tornado watch is until 10 o'clock, and it includes all of eastern Oklahoma. Now, the most conducive environment still stays down to the southeast, but if storms can move into areas where we've already had storms, then we should see them weaken some. But there are still parts of the area that haven't had storms yet, so we're gonna have to watch closely those parts. But again, that's a look right now at the tornado watch in place for the rest of this evening into tonight at about 10 o'clock. Back to radar here, just want to focus in again on our active tornado warning. The tornado warning is until 7:30. This includes the northern half of Haskell County, and it does clip far southern Muskogee County. So you have Stigler here in the center of your screen. You have Whitefield now that the storm is currently moving into. On your screen, we have our storm tracker Sequoia Quinton. He is looking down to the south at this storm. Sequoia is up just south of Gore right now, but again, monitoring closely as we still have the tornado warning. We still have that area of circulation that is just on the west side of Whitefield. It doesn't look very tight at this point, Trav, but still something definitely worth watching.
Definitely so. And again, these thunderstorms, it's very difficult to have to follow along with these, because this time of year, as we have a graphic, in fact, and we might share with you here in just a little bit, but it's very unusual to have tornadoes in January, which you'd probably figure December and January is usually cold, snow, and ice like it was at Christmas time. But for us to have that, it's a little bit unusual. And this is the graphic to give you an idea. So the average number of tornadoes in Oklahoma, it is minuscule, and it's very minuscule for December. And January is by far and away the least likely time for a tornado around here. February isn't much different, so that's good news. But as soon as we start warming up just a little bit, then we blow the top off as we start to go on into April and May and June. And then we kind of just hold steady, and then there's a brief little increase again in the fall when we get storms and cold fronts starting to come back through. And then you can see how it really just drops off from November into December. That gives you an idea of what's going on the side. All right, back to radar and the rain and thunderstorms. Again, this is looking to be a little bit weaker, so that's good news. But we've been active with the tornado warning here, and that's supposed to go until 7:30. We'll see if this holds together, because right now from Browardton and then extending to Whitefield, this is continuing to move to the north and to the east. And you still see some wind gusts that are showing up just to the west. And when we show this shear, that is shows you that low end shear, that's where there's winds blowing in different directions and very turbulent atmosphere. So that's what we're seeing, and just barely going into the moderate range, but there's still a lot of wind with this. And so that, notice what's happened as we update. That has rapidly moved to the northeast. I've moved up to the Browardton area. So that's that line that I was talking about. So it looks smooth, but it's just a band of very, very heavy rainfall just blowing out. And then it's with that, you have the lightning strikes, but you can't really see much. And then it's very turbulent for maybe about, I'd say 10, 15 minutes, wind blowing around and all that. Of course, without leaves on the trees are less likely to have major difficulties. But you are getting dumped on with some pretty heavy rainfall in a short period of time, ½ inch to an inch. So that is significant. And then some of the heavier rains were over around the Lake Eufaula area with that first system that came through that started everything. Really, tornado warnings were happening in 2 places almost simultaneously. One to the east of Tulsa, and then the one from the Lake Eufaula area. But this is continuing to move up across the Porham area, and it is pouring in Porham, and lots of lightning going on with that. So again, with winds expected to be around 40 to 60 miles an hour tops. And Stacia, I was just busy talking and coordinating with some, but you mentioned that there was power outages showing up in a few locations. So that's going to continue to be a problem, or potentially a problem, because with the additional lightning strikes and the potential for some wind damage. Those are the 2 major issues. And speaking of two, we have the storm that's Bob has just gone through with the Tahlequah storm, and then our storm that continues to be the salty one that's located just south of where Sequoia is and where Val is located. So that's still very active there. Back to where Bob is in Tahlequah and Cherokee County, and then back moving in northwestern Adair County. From Chewy right now, you're getting a lot of lightning strikes. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. Dime-size hail, probably maybe some 50, 60 mile an hour winds. Severe weather warnings go for 58 mile per hour winds. So again, it's kind of borderline on that, but there should be some very heavy rainfall, and that'll continue to move across southwestern or northwestern portions of Adair County, and then extreme eastern Cherokee County. We have some bands of moderate rain that are back around the Hulbert area. That's nothing too bad, just rain and moderate rain at this time. And so this is the thunderstorm complex so that moved through Lake Eufaula and right around Eufaula. So there's still some turbulence in here. Let's look at some of the velocities if we could on this. And so this will take it from around the Briggs area, and then that's going to move up around Proctor. So you can see all these greens and reds. Now when they're broad like that, it's more of a stronger wind event going on than it is a couplet or something that's spinning. So what we're seeing right now is a little bit more indication of just turbulence, and it's just coming across with rain, heavy rain, gusty winds. Lightning strikes are again concentrated to the north of Proctor and Eldon, and so this isn't quite as much. This is just be some gusty winds and some rain, probably some 30 or 40 mile an hour winds with heavy rainfall for you. And then that will continue to move to the north and to the east. So don't be surprised on that. Bob, as you can see his picture, I'm gonna talk to Bob one more second. I don't know if he's gonna stop, pick up gas or food. Hey Bob, quick update from you when that storm came through. Any additional information that you came across when it was near Tahlequah or not?
No, we had a lot of street flooding going on due to the heavy rain. Now that the rain slacked up, the roads are starting to improve. We're just waiting on a couple of those cells back to the west. But right now, everything's moved off to the north and east. Back to you, Travis.
All right, thanks, Bob. Appreciate it very much. So that's what we're looking at there. Back down to our tornado warning storm here for you guys. Still active right in here, and so we're kind of getting a little couplet going on east of Porham. So we're still watching what's going on here and east of Briarton at this point. So you can see Val's got a shot of this coming up. So he's looking down to the south and showing up what's going on there. And the circulation, again, very weak, not even really evident at this point as far as broad circulation, or even it's just more of a strong winds, turbulent, and still fairly, I should say, a fairly broad rotating type of area moving northeast. And so that's what we're looking at there. And I don't know, Stacia, if you have a storm track on that, or if you could. Okay, you got it? All right.
I do. So I'm going to track the leading edge of this storm because that area of circulation is broad. This storm is going to continue northeast at about 40 to 45, and most of the storm passing just north of Stigler, but it continues over towards Vian by 7:19, Pinhook Corner at 7:27, Dwight Mission 7:31, and McKee at 7:34. So as you see the latest update there, it's a pretty fast moving storm. So again, 45, maybe even up to 50 at times, and it's going to go in and out of conducive environments to support it, either rotating or maintaining its severe intensity. But we could still see this as a problematic storm headed through the rest of this evening. But again, passing just north of Stigler, continuing just on the far northern side of Haskell County, and continuing at least the meatiest part of it is just east of Porham, southern Muskogee County, and that will track into the southwestern corner of Sequoia County and track right up towards Vian. Travis?
All right. So still not over with. Just reading some information coming to us from Steve Piltz from the National Weather Service. And he was looking and analyzing some data that's right along the Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri border areas. And that's still conducive to additional strong to severe thunderstorms. So as long as we have a tornado warning, we want to make sure that we don't leave you hanging. So that's what we're watching with this right now. This is the only tornado warning that's active at this moment. It's still fairly broad and continuing to track to the north and east. And if we, let's see, I don't know, Val's video, there's just a whole lot of lightning associated with that. Has Sequoia had very much lightning with that either, Aaron? So,
not from his vantage point that I can see.
Okay, because the hail core is still hanging in there at this point, so that's still tracking up to the northeast, so that'll be coming up closer to the guys.
Well, he's turned around and I can see more of it now.
You can? All right, let's take a look at, or is he still moving? It looks like
He's moving. Val's got some really good shots of light.
Okay, let's take a look at Sequoia's shot first if we could, Al, and we'll see, because we're going to look. I think he's got some of his flashers on, so it's making that flash, but just this is over a ridge, looks like over a ridge a little bit, so it's still very active lightning going on with that. And then let's go on over to REM 24 if we could, and Val for a minute. So Val's got his headlights on, but again, what you'll see is along that leading edge as that's coming up. So it's still a fireball down to the south. Of course, it still is a severe thunderstorm and tornado warning. So we have a combination of all that going on at this particular moment. So that's going to keep on rolling on up toward the guys. And so we're going to keep on following it and see what's going on. At this point, we do not believe that it's a tornado on the ground. Our temperatures, though, are still very, very mild. Low 70s where it has not rained at this hour. I mean, it's like, and this time of year. It's just weird to have that happen. I mean, it's happened before. Record was 76. Is that what we said? Yeah, 76. So it's happened before. But very interesting. 60s. We're trimming off the backside of the watch. The tornado watch now has been canceled to the west of Tulsa, pretty much west of Highway 75. It has been canceled. Did you have something there? He's talking right now, I guess. And so while he's talking, again, 2 active areas of severe weather. The storms Brandon's on to the north are not severe at this moment. There could be some hail out of the ones up to the north, just because that's going to be closer to a cold core low that's up in there. So that's about the only thing that's a big deal. Otherwise, the severe thunderstorm warning that's in eastern portions of Cherokee County and northwestern Adair County, that's still hanging in there for a little bit longer. But the one that's down to the south, again, our latest, and we'll do another storm track here for you guys. It looks like it's kind of ramped just a little bit here, a bit of a pivot point going on. So this is, again, pretty much a rural area, but yeah, it is a little bit tighter right in here. That is something that is a little concerning. Mudlark Road. I don't know if I know that one. I do now. The North Perry Road and Mudlark Road. That's where the intersection is. Then Tamaha Road is off to the east a little bit, along with East County Road 1130. You're going to be close in. Stacia's doing a storm track now, but that is a area that you will have to watch. Again, very rural area out in here, so you'll have to be very careful. It's an active tornado warning, and something could happen or spin up. At this point, it looks like it should be some winds gusting to 40 to 50, maybe 60 miles an hour. And then we get a little one of these little things that just kind of spin up like this, and you could end up with a quick little tornado that could be just happening very quickly. And because the environment's just that way at this point. It's not big, and you can see it coming for miles. These are little things, and they're going to be a bit more of a pain. Stacia, what do you have for a storm track?
Storm track 45 miles per hour through the northern side of Haskell County. This will continue over into Sequoia County here soon. So the latest track is going to take it up towards Vian. That happens by 7:27. McKee at 7:31. There you can see the latest update. So it's a pretty fast mover still, and that area of circulation will pass just north of Garland, but then continue over towards Sequoia County. So it's a very rural area, as Travis had mentioned, but we need you to pay attention, especially if you live within this area. It's just that far northern fringe of Haskell County when it kind of goes up and meets with Muskogee and Sequoia County, kind of a triple point there. But Harrison 7:30, McKee 7:31, Pinhook Corner would be 7:34, and if it holds together, Sallisaw would be up at about 7:37. So northeast at 45 to almost 50 miles per hour. That area of circulation is kind of tightened back up again. So passing just on the north side of Garland, but we have Sequoia and Val, who are ready to go in Vian to intercept it.
Yeah, Vaughn's brother Val hanging out there. And yeah, looking at the radar presentation down in here, does look a little bit stronger. You can kind of see it just visually from reflectivity values. You can kind of see that it looks like kind of like a little circulation right in here. And that's what we're seeing on radar. So as we're looking up a little bit in elevation, we do see that this is still spinning right in here. So this is going to be southwest of Tamaha, and so there it is. Here's Tamaha, and so it's just south to your southwest. So if your area is southwest of Tamaha, and if you're around the Tamaha area, you do want to make sure you're paying attention to this, because this is an environment that's still capable of spinning up pretty quick. And so that's why we want to stay with you to make sure that you know what's going on with this particular cell. And to give you a little bit more in the way of coordinates, you can kind of see what I'm pointing at there with East County Road 1130, and then the Tamaha Road right in here. And so that's going to go again into a very rural area. Not a whole lot of roads right in there. A lot of trees, a lot of pasture land, but that's coming up, and so it's near that Mudlark Road. I want to mention that. So you're right in this area. Mudlark right here. Notice how it just jumped on over to here. So we're seeing a little bit more of an intensification right in this zone. So that's why we're concerned that this could still be popping up with something going on as that continues to move up toward the Tamaha area. And then also the hail core, you can see what's going on there. That continues to show up. So we should have some dime, maybe closing in on nickel size hail with this. That's almost up to the guys that are watching what's going on as that's moving to the northeast. So that's, in fact, Sequoia right now. Let's go to his video real quick, if you could, Al. And Sequoia, yeah. And so he's right now getting heavy rain right coming in on him.
Yep, heavy rain and a lot of lightning.
A lot of lightning and right in here. So again, the rain is starting to hit on into 40 now. And so this is going to be the beginning of the thunderstorm. I can't tell. It looked like a couple of, is he getting a little bit of hail off of that? Looked like I saw something bouncing off of the.
He hasn't confirmed it yet, but I'll double check what they
Okay.
said that's popped up.
All right. So that's what's just moving in on him at this particular moment with the rain. It looked like some of that's popping off, and it could be some raindrops too, I suppose. But looked like it was just starting to show up, and that would be embedded in there with some of the heavy downpours of rain. Doesn't look like hardly any wind. You can see like these little sticks and stuff going on. Nothing there. Okay. All right. So that's going on there. Back to radar. And so here's Sequoia, and that's that one cell that just kind of popping up there. So that isn't the main area. Here's that circulation feature right in here. And so that's what's moving up toward the guys. And so again, a little tighter couplet in here as it shows up. And that's what's going on. And Stacia, I think I'll have you, if you could, give us one more update on the storm track. We do have the other severe thunderstorm warning being canceled. That was up to the north in Adair County and eastern Cherokee County, so that has been canceled. So we don't have anything to worry about there, per se. And then also, we're just going to watch this with this tornado warning. And so that's what we're seeing from Tamaha Road as that's moving back to the north and east. Stacia, what do you have for us?
All right, Travis, so I'm going to keep the track still 45 to almost 50. It's a quick mover here. The Tamaha 721, and that's going to be here maybe 7 minutes from now. So we want you to just make sure you're in a safe spot in your home, lowest level, interior room. Stay away from windows and doors, even if there's not a tornado on the ground. This is still going to be some strong wind coming in, and that tornado threat is there. One could be produced at any point in time. Carlisle would be 726, Vian about 727, and as it continues to McKee, that'd be 731, Dwight Mission 737, Sallisaw also at around 737. So again, this is going to continue to move through environments that are supportive at times. For the storm to continue with its tornado threat, we'll have to watch that very closely as it does, but it's moving northeast at about 45, Trav.
All right, thanks. And it's hanging in there, unfortunately. So that's the problem. So I appreciate you doing that. And so that's moving to the north and east. And as we start to see it moving north and east, it'll be over Kerr Reservoir here momentarily. And so we should get a pretty good visual from Sequoia. And Val, yeah?
He does say he has a definite lowering there just to his southwest.
Okay, and it should be because it looks like it's tightened up considerably here. So is Val moving east yet, or anything so we can keep a good shot on that? Let's go to Val's video on RIM 24. Yeah, thanks. Let's see what he has going on here. We'll see if we can see it. Got a power pole right in here. And this would be the lowered base right in here. So once it lightnings again, it doesn't look like much, but that's kind of the curved lowered base of that coming up across the area. So that's what we're seeing at this particular moment as that is moving on up into his direction right as we speak. And that's what the guys have to watch. That's what they're looking at all the time when they're looking at night like this and extended periods of night. But you can see this area right in here is where that rotating area Stacia was just pointing out with the storm track and also just pointed out on radar. So that's moving on up into Sequoia County here just momentarily as that continues to move near the Tamaha area. Just to the west of Tamaha, just a couple miles at this moment. And then you can see also there's a hail core still to the west of that. But there is a pretty good indication of what's going on. So this is the hail core. You can see where Sequoia and Val are located. So that's literally coming right up across their area. So we'll be able to have a really good bird's eye view of what's happening here. And then as I look at it, looks like it's going to cross out of the tornado warning area. So the National Weather Service is going to have to make up a decision here if there is any changes. Looks like so they don't know what they're going to do. I don't think. I was looking to see if they had an idea of what they want to do, because that's literally crossing out of the warning right now here in the next minute or two, and just to the west of Tamaha as that continues to track northeast. So you see the Val's video coming in, and the lowered base is still there and analyzing what's going on there. Sequoia, see that same lowered base still hanging in there, Aaron?
Last I heard, yes.
Okay, all right. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on for what's going on with that particular part. Back to from where Sequoia is and circulation. Let's go back in, take a little closer look one more time and see if we've got any shear changes in here. So that is, again, that's up considerably. And so now that's pushing on into the lower mid-level ranges. And so that is tightened up. Before it was just a green area of just shear that was showing up and gusty winds. So this is giving us an indication that it is stronger. This is near the surface. So it's crossing over at this point. So it's going to be crossing that area that's a little bit more of a pasture area, and then going on into the pretty much into the Arkansas River Valley, and you can see some of the agricultural grounds right in there, and then the Kerr Reservoir area. So that's going to be cutting across here in just a little bit as we start to go a little bit more right into, and this could potentially get on over from Vian over to McKee. So this is tightened up considerably right here. So the new tornado warning, they had to go ahead and reissue because it's tightened up again. So we have the new tornado warning that'll be in effect, and so this is going to be, this is tightened up. This is continuing to track up across Kerr Reservoir, and as that continues to move to the northeast, lightning strikes are not as prevalent right in there, but it is a much tighter circulation. So we're back to a potential for a tornado here shortly. Looks like it has gotten a lot tighter right in that zone. So you're just west of Tamaha. Hopefully you're still taking cover. I know we've been talking about you guys for a while. But this is really, really close to you at this point. If you're in agricultural areas or rural areas out here on East Tamaha Road, you're underneath it right now. And so that means there's a high probability you're going to get some wind damage. And then there's a chance, small chance, but there is a chance, could start to spin up a tornado here again as it's tightened up. And this is an environment where it's possible. We have our tornado watch in effect. So again, you can see the couplet tighter in here. So there's now getting to be a pretty good chance. This is a very high probability of a lowered cloud base. I don't know what happened to Sequoia's video.
His windows have all of a sudden
Fogged up?
Trying to get that
Okay.
rectified.
Yeah.
Val's video is good.
Okay, let's go back to Val's video real quick then and look at that coming up across the, because you can't get down there at this point. So he's getting ready to move. So he's going to get us a different angle shot here. So he's going to, so the storm is off pretty much to the right here. And so we'll see how this looks here in just a second. It's off, so we'll kind of give him time to, he's going to reposition. So that's going to help give us a little bit better shot.
Sequoia's video is back up, and he does have nickel to dime size hail falling on his windshield.
He does? Okay, nickel to dime size, you said? Okay. And, okay, oh yeah, take Sequoia's video if you would, Al. And then you'll be able to see what's going on there. Oh, there.
Oh, is that Sequoia?
There. Yep, that's a lot of things bouncing around. So he's in that hail core of that storm at this moment. So you see what's going on right in through here. So this is quite a bit of hail with that. And that's continuing to track to the northeast. So the hail core is just on the northwest side of that circulation. Circulation is just west of Tamaha. So that's the problem we have at this particular moment. And then, wow, that's going to town at this particular moment. Let's go back to radar for a second. Here's the circulation again, tight. it's tight enough that this is a potential for the tornado right in here again. And so this is going to be just on the north and west sides of Tamaha, moving northeast. It looks like that slowed down a little bit there, Stacia. Yeah, I was going to say, it's just taking a sweet time now. So now that's moving up across the area. Stacia has a storm track on this as that continues to track northeast. Stacia?
Yep, Travis, it's northeast at 40 now, and so this is going to take it still up very close to Vian. And remember, right now it's just on the northwest side of Tamaha, so we want you to take your precautions there. But Vian, McKee, Salisaw, we want you to start taking your tornado precautions. And again, there's not any confirmation that anything is on the ground, but a tornado could be produced at any point in time with this storm as it tracks into Sequoyah County. So Vian, that's 729 for you. McKee is 732. Salisaw is about 738. Seven Oaks would be 742, and Flute Springs would be about 745. So at the latest track, as it moves northeast, that's going to take it into the central parts of Sequoyah County. And again, wrapped up pretty good as it travels right over the northern side of the Kerr Reservoir, and that's going to track up crossing I-40 between Vian and Salisaw. So we want you to be safe, find the lowest level interior room, and make sure you're staying away from windows and doors. Even if there's not a tornado, there still could be some very strong winds, some damage potential, and it may even knock your power out. If your power goes out, remember you can stream us using an iPad or your phone with our News on 6 weather app or our News on 6 website. So that's the latest track there, Trav.
All right, and it's hanging in there. You can see it at this point. We're going to go to Sequoiah's video again if we could, Al. Again, Sequoiah's just north. I'll get out of the pictures here so you can just see it. I don't know if that's a blizzard or if that's heavy rain or hail or everything else. Huh? Quarter size hail now? All right, so he's got a serious hail storm. So we do have a severe thunderstorm. So he's trying to kind of mobile out of that a little area. He sampled what's going on. He got too big of a sample of that. That's a mess. So again, he has to be real careful with what's going on there, because then you have ice on the road as well from all the hail, and of course you can hydroplane. So those are the things you have to watch out for. So lots of water, lots of hail right there. All right, back to radar. This is the hail core that Sequoiah is in at this moment. And so Val's just moved off to the east of that. So he's in a clearer area and out of the rain. So that's the main part of the cell, main part of the rotation is right here. Hail is on the north and west sides, which is more similar to what usually happens. So that's coming right across him at this moment, and Val's pretty close to it. But he is doing okay at this particular moment. Kind of waiting to see if he sets his shot. Hey, Aaron, if you get a chance, see if Val's shot. I can't tell. It doesn't look like he's positioned looking back at the storm at this moment. But
looks like he is looking off to the east, maybe because.
Okay, because it doesn't look like he's right to his south. But this is this tighter circulation here, gusty winds back to where Sequoiah is at this moment, and then a little bit broader circulation. It's not real tight right in this particular place, but it is tight enough that you have a good donut hole effect going on here, which is not good if you're right underneath it. As I mentioned a little bit ago, as that's moving to the northeast now, that it looks like it's just going to be on the south and east sides of Vian. So Val's literally right next to it. Sequoiah's coming up beside it as well. So as we look at what's happening with this, pretty good chance that there'll be some wind damage, some strong damaging wind, heavy rain, obviously, hail, obviously, because we're seeing that. And then as that continues to move to the northeast, we'll have, it's still in an environment that, and it's spinning, we could still have a touchdown of a tornado. So that's the biggest cause or biggest problem at this point. No other storms are severe. We just have one tornadic cell at this moment. And then you see the rain and showers and storms across Cherokee County, northern Adair County, moving in northwest Arkansas, anywhere from Washington, Benton County. So you see what's going on there. The rain and storms that have been up in portions up into areas north of Tulsa, those continue to move to the north and to the east. You see Brandon's watching that just in case, but there isn't anything else there. We do have the real cold air. We don't have cold air until we get to this stuff. And then that cold air will eventually get here tomorrow morning. And then our winds will go from a west-southwest direction to a northwest direction. And then you go, oh, that was cold. So there will be a drop-off in temperatures. And then we have winter storm warnings and a bunch of snow up in Colorado. So it's been a big deal there. As far as action, before you go down, let's see, down into Arkansas, we still have tornadic activity southeast of Little Rock, and then also flooding going on the east side. But for our tornado warning, here's what's the latest on what's happening. Again, as it's moving into the northeast, Circulation just south of Val at this moment, and Sequoia kind of got out of, well, you know, he's still in heavy rain. Circulation's pretty tight right in here now. So you notice how tight that is, that couplet. So we could have a tornado at this moment moving northeast. This is going to be heading toward I-40 in just a moment. So you can kind of see the broader picture. That is literally coming up on North Road 4540. And there's no real crossroad. I think it's East 1090 Road is what I'd call it. Someplace about right in here. East 1090 I think would be it. That's over the lake right now. So the circulation is literally right on the lake. So if we could see it, we might be able to, it'd be interesting to note what's going on. Stacia has another storm track that she has for us, and she's ready to go. Stacia, what do you have?
All right, Trav, I slowed it down to about 40 miles per hour. And as it has slowed down, I'm wondering if it's going to start to make more of an easterly jog rather than a northeast track. But just to cover our bases here, because you just don't know when it could make that turn, and if it will, I want you to be on the safe side. But folks around Sallisaw and Vian still need to make sure that they're taking their precautions, along with McKee, as it is wrapped back up again. And you've heard us say, oh, it doesn't look like it's now as wrapped up as it once was, but now it's wrapped up. So that fluctuation is going to vary with each new radar scan that comes into us. So Sallisaw, you guys are going to be up at about 7:41. McKee, a little earlier at 7:34. And this storm will be tracking across I-40, especially between your Vian exit and then your Sallisaw exit. So folks that are traveling are going to have to be very, very aware of this storm. They're probably in the thick of things right now with heavy rain and hail. But again, that area of circulation traveling up to the east-northeast at about 40. Aiken 750, Maple 754, Stony Point at about 756. But this will track through the central parts of Sequoia County. Trav?
All right. Hey, and I'm glad that we're finished with our colds because I tell you, if we had to talk a lot, we'd be in a lot of trouble and had those colds from the last week or two. So I'm just going to talk about how happy that is because that's about the only good news. We're talking about serious amounts of heavy downpours of rain. That's Sequoia's video right now. And you can see Sequoia's in Vian at this moment. And so he's in the heart of the heaviest rains. The hail has moved to the north of him, but he's getting very heavy downpours of rain. Val is moving in an area which is going to try to intercept what's going on with down to the south. So that's what we'll have to be watching. So where Val is and then where Sequoia is located and then the heavy rains, the circulation feature continues to be just to the south, and then you can see the core is just to the north. So here is what's happening. It's not very organized compared to what it was just a moment ago. So again, kind of pulses up, kind of comes back down a little bit. So that's okay, especially if it's doing this, coming back down. But the circulation again just to the southeast of Vian and showing up just south of where Val is located. Leave it to one of the Castor boys to be right in the middle of that. McKee, and then as it looks to the north, Marble City, and then on over to Sallisaw. So you guys are in the path of what's moving in your direction at this moment. Is Val's video showing up? It looks kind of dark on mine.
It's just tilted up a bit.
It's tilted up into the sky? Okay, so it's just dark. So I see, there is a little bit of light there. I just didn't see a flashing of light or lightning, but you don't see a whole lot of lightning here. Notice how these are lightning strikes all up in here, so there's a lot more lightning illumination going on to the north. And so as you look south and east, there's no storm here, so there's no lightning here. And even where we do have the circulation feature, there isn't a whole lot of lightning, which is not uncommon. As this pushes on through, though, we'll look for this to be continuing to track in an area that'll take it pretty close to Sallisaw, so Marble City. And so that's the only thing of concern is that it's not going to give up for a while. And you can tell, just looking from the video from Sequoia, it is just a monsoon on January 2nd. I don't know if that's possible, but it seems like it is. Anyway, that's going to continue to track to the north and to the more east. Did you go more east than north? Is that what you kind of did?
I tried to do east-northeast
More
instead
east,
of
northeast.
just
okay.
northeast.
Because it looks like it's got yeah, you're right. It's got a little bit more curve to it. And so that's going to be hanging. And Val, we could try, let's try Val's video, Al, for just a minute. I'm trying to figure out what I'm seeing. I don't see he is moving along right in here. You can see it. There's a radio tower, TV tower, or antenna of some sorts. So he's just trying to get around that storm just a little bit more so we can get a little bit better perspective on that. But by far and away, Sequoia's is just showing the copious amounts of rain, but he's he's got enough water coming at him as well. So, and then you can see, I don't know if that was some of the flashes from some of this safety features on his flashing on his truck or not. There we go on the roadway, kind of see what's going on right now. And so folks are just driving along. All right, back to radar again. So again, active tornado warning still where the guys are. Val's literally in it at this point. Let's look at velocities if we could on him, because Val's right in the center of it. Yep. So that's moving right through where he is at this moment. And so he has slowed down, looks like quite a bit right in there. So that just went right through him at this moment. And so he's pulled off. And so now we're getting a pretty good idea of what that looks like. Is trying to. We
also have Emery Bryan.
Emery's there.
Yes, he's near Weber's Falls, and I think he's on REM 32, but he was traveling east on I-40 and had to stop and let the storm pass by.
Hey, Al, do you have Emery on 32? He is on there? Okay. You want to we can put his video up. He's back to the west of all of that, looking into it. He's driving right now. So again, a lot of folks are traveling. Emery is traveling, and so he's like not wanting to drive into that, but as he's driving into it, you don't see a whole lot of lightning, and that's a very deceiving thing for folks. It's just like you could run into it. Now, fortunately, right now, judging from what Val just went through, it does not look as intense, but he's going to run into some of that water here in just a moment as far as the heavier thunderstorm itself. So that's something else. And then thanks to Emery for helping us out, as always. Emery's such a good guy. Sequoia still has heavy rains in his area, and I do believe that I would say Emery's is someplace just east of Weber's Falls. He's someplace like right in here. Sequoia, though, is still in the middle of some of that heavy rain, not too far from around where Val is located. And so you can see from Sequoia's video, he's getting tons of rain just on the backside of that. All the hail core is back to the north. And then around the where Val is located, it's not too bad. He's kind of right in a little pocket right here where there isn't a whole lot going on. Let's look at Val's video if you could, Al. Val and Hal and everybody else. So you can see where he is right in here, and you see his video. So it's not looking all that bad at this moment. But we do still have with this, you can see the circulation feature is now north of 40. And Stacia, I'm going to have you do one more storm track on this. And so it's much more linear, and so it's not quite as impressive. And Val just went through it, so we're not very impressed, which is a welcome thing at this point, because the time is 7:35 right now. And there's just a little bit right in here that's just moved to the north, and you see it's just updated here this minute. And so that's moving on up to the north of where Sequoia is located. And now there's no real circulation feature that looks impressive at this moment, but we are looking at it there on McKee Road, and then probably where it crosses, I'll call it West Badger Lee Road. I'm thinking that maybe this might go on over to here. So this would be our higher probability of some wind damage or maybe a little bit of issue there, but that's about it. So that's, again, the tornado warning still there. Stacia has an update on that. Stacia.
Yes, Travis. So we're going to take it from that area that we have to watch closely, even though it doesn't look like it's too tight of a circulation, maybe more straight line wind potential at this point, but it could circle back up again or ramp back up again. So it's right over McKee at this point, moving northeast, and has slowed down 35 miles per hour. This puts it at Marble City at 7:47, Stony Point at 8 o'clock, Bunch in the far southwestern corner of Adair County. For you guys, if it does continue northeast, then that would put it at about 8:01. So again, we may see it recycle. That's definitely been a trend for tonight with some of these storms. The areas of rotation will be more broad, kind of widen out, and then they'll tighten back up again. So it's not to say that that can't happen again with this storm, but we're happy to see that area of circulation now become a bit more broad. So we're thankful for that. Sequoia and Val are on the south side now of that area of circulation, but still with this thunderstorm heavy rain and hail potential coming in along with the strong winds. Right now it looks like some of the heaviest rain along with that concentration of the most frequent lightning is up on the west side of Marble City, just east of Evening Shade. So that is going to continue northeast as well, but the circulation feature is down towards McKee at this point. And for the community of Sallisaw, it looks like you guys have kind of lucked out with this. You have this the far southern edge of this storm that's going to be coming through with some heavy rain and some gusty winds, but that circulation feature that looks like it'll pass to your north. So anywhere from McKee to Dwight Mission up to Marble City to Flute Springs, under the gun with this storm. And just to recap here, the tornado warning is in effect until 8 o'clock. So we're going to watch to see if that area of circulation will tighten back up again, and we're going to watch that very closely. Trav?
All right, thanks. And we had a report coming out for the emergency manager from out of the Kiefton area, just south of Muskogee, of a barn, roof of a barn being blown over into a single-family home. No injuries, no other damage was reported other than some tree debris. So that's going to be probably, generally speaking, the type of damage we'll see from some of these storms. So we're going to continue to monitor this. And we're going to stay on here for a little bit longer and see what happens here for a few more minutes. But this has weakened some in this area where Sequoia is located. So this is the hail core has moved further to the north. The warning will continue for a little bit while longer. And you can see Sequoia's video is frozen just right this second, but he's right in an area where the heaviest rainfall and the thunderstorm and the hail now kind of moving out of the tornado warned area. And so we still have this sweeping area of rain coming in from out of the west, but overall the heaviest of the rains will continue to track to the northeast. And this storm track in here, or I should say not the storm track, but the rotating area that has been here is now linear, as we said, and so it's a lot less likely to be producing tornadoes, but more likely to be producing more straight-lined wind damage, maybe some 40, 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds. And you can have wind that's 50 miles an hour and just catch a roof wrong and could pick it up and pull it off. And a lot of people would just go, what happened? And so those things do happen. And again, the dynamics of the atmosphere with the wind, pretty impressive with what can happen, especially if it just hits at the right angle or the wrong angle. So from anywhere, as we extend through the northern portions of Sequoia County down through Marble City, down to Dwight Mission, and then around the McKee area, that's where we're finding most of the energy, and that's where the strongest winds will be located, and not finding anything else. Aaron, have you seen anything? Has Sequoia reported any other wind or any wind damage? Nothing at all?
New other than just torrential rain at this point. That's kind of all he's been dealing with.
Okay. And so Val is sitting just down to the south, on the south side of Sallisaw at this moment, or going through Sallisaw. Let's take a look at what's going on there. So he doesn't have a whole lot happening at this moment from Sallisaw, and that's part of that line of rain and thunderstorms. Again, the tornado warning still in effect for most of Sequoia County, and so we continue to watch what's going on there. The winds are not as affected by it looks like some of the data I was looking at was about 40-mile-an-hour winds. 35 to 40-mile-an-hour winds were some of the ones that I was looking at with as this storm line moved through. So that's about what we have. Otherwise, they've been 10 to 20 miles per hour of the south to southeast. So it hasn't changed a whole lot, even though that thunderstorm's coming through. So it's been just above the surface, and so we've been pretty fortunate about what's going on there. And we're also talking about, with this, I have heavy rain and thunderstorm that is still active across the areas of northern and central Sequoia County, and that tornado warning is still there, but it is not defined at all anymore like it was. So you can breathe a little bit easier, but there's still wind damage potential for the eastern half of Sequoia County, especially from around the Marble City area to around Brushy and Flute Springs, and then from around the Sallisaw area to the east and northeast. That could move into southern Adair County. So that's the only thing that is of concern there. Otherwise, heavy rain and some thunder and lightning going on now in central Wagner County. Can we loop this back for about the last hour and take a look at that on every 5-minute interval? And so you get the heavy rain in northwest Arkansas. And so you see that that flare-up of rain and thunderstorms has been coming up from out. It just kind of flared up. And as that's moving northeast, it's been coming up out of McIntosh County. So these storms are still overall moving north-northeast with some of the bigger storms having more of an easterly component to it, such as the one that has come up over the Sequoia County. Here's the latest on the latest shear and on the track of this storm. So there's been quite a bit with this as it moved up from, it developed in Pittsburgh County. This is not the storm that was at Eufaula, but this developed on the east side of Pittsburgh County, northeast side, and then moved up to the northeast. It started to become stronger, and notice it as also, as you've seen more red. That is indicative of stronger, so the more it goes from low to high, the worse it gets. So once we start getting into the yellowish gold colors, that's not good. It's not great either in red, but yellow is really bad. So this is indicating, again, it's a broader circulation as it's continued to expand and move to the northeast. So that's why it's still noteworthy that we have to keep an eye on what's going on here. That'll be moving into northern portions of Sequoia County here very shortly. As that moves to the north and east, it'll probably hold together fairly well because it's still in an environment that's capable of doing so. The warning itself is more than likely going to continue just because even though it doesn't look tornadic at this particular moment, it still has wind damage and it's still a meso that's pretty much rotating. And so because of that, we're going to continue to watch what's going on with that. So again, tornado warning still in effect for a little bit longer with this as it moves toward the Stony Point area. Also, let's look at a velocity if we could and get one more indication of what's going on with this. So this is still that area. And so this is, if there is a little bit of an area, it'd be near Marble City. So this shows what's going on. So that's the brushy road coming into Marble City. And then, so literally it's right on top where there should be some low clouds as it's just hitting you with heavy rain and not a lot of lightning. Again, most of the lightning has moved further to the north and to the northwest. So you're getting most of the impact at this point from Brushy Road and Marble City. And then now that's going to be moving to Northwest 1000 Road, just to the north and east of Marble City Road. With that latest update. So you can see the definition is there for enhancement of wind. And then that little curvature feature that was at Marble City is a little bit further south. But these are the things that we're watching very closely because this is what can cause enough oomph, so to speak, to create a rotating, spinning area. And then you can end up with a quick little tornado or something like that going on. So that's what we see at this moment, just east of Sequoia. Hey, Aaron, can you see, I know it's night and there's hardly any, there's basically no lightning. If he can see any lowering off to his east at all.
I will check. Sequoia is driving through a really poor cell coverage area, so
okay.
it's been really in and out. I'll check with him.
Okay. All right, thanks, appreciate that. And then, oh, I see, yeah, his video signal quality went out. And then we have Val, which is down to the south at this point. So he's just on the north side of Salisaw. And so we'll see. It looks like, is he moving north, Stacia? Do you know? He's can't tell. Okay. What we'll do is we'll wait and see what he's going to do. And can you give us an update on that area right in there? That'd be great.
I can. So it's still, excuse me, up to the northeast at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. I think Trav jinxed us when he said he got rid of our golds. But anyway, so this is going to be tracking through the northern portions of Sequoia County. So we'll draw a track for you here and we'll take it from that area of circulation near Marble City and we'll move it northeast at 30 to 35. So as we take it from Marble City up to the north, and again, it may speed up a little bit, it may slow down a little bit, but at this point in time, we're going to hold it at around 35. So for folks that are on the northern portions of Sequoia County, southern Adair County, so Greasy, Bunch, Stony Point, you need to pay attention to the storm. And Flute Springs, you're kind of on the western side of that leading edge, so I think your threat for this area of circulation is just more down to your southwest. But Stony Point would be 758, Bunch at 759, and then continuing to Greasy at about 8 o'clock, Bell at 8:13, Blanch at around 8:14. So again, we saw it kind of broaden out, but then now we may see it start to tighten back up again. So we'll have to watch very closely as we may see it try to circulate. The tornado warning is until 8 o'clock, and they may extend that just to include the far southern parts of Adair County. We'll kind of have to see as this part of the circulation gets closer and closer to the edge of that tornado warning. Trav?
All right, thanks. Yeah, sorry, I just created a froggy voice for you. That was just not a good thing. Once again, if you are in southern Adair County, we still want you to potentially be aware or be aware of a potential severe storm that'll be in your area. This is from Sequoia. He is continuing to monitor what's going on. He's had heavy rains, and that is with that cell as it's moving to the northeast. The tornado warned storm, again, shear is not looking all that impressive on it. At this point, there's some strong damaging wind potential with this, but that's about it. We're still going to watch to see if anything else changes on that. And then as you look a little bit further, that's edging into southwestern Adair County at this point, and so some wind gusts of 40, 50 miles an hour, and then in some of these areas should be over 60 miles an hour, and that's where some of that circulation would be a little bit more evident. Val is now moved right into that area. He's near where Sequoia is. Let's look at Val's video, if we could, for a moment, and just see if he has anything that we can highlight as he's moving across an area that is moving up toward the brushy area at this point. So he's going to stay just parallel to that. He's just getting light to moderate rain at this moment. There is still a severe thunderstorm warning. This is still moving to the northeast, as Stacia mentioned, about 35 miles an hour. I see the National Weather Service also agreed with that at 35. And so they've brought their numbers down a little bit too, because for a while some of these storms are moving at 50 miles an hour. So it's pretty impressive. But we're continuing the tornado warning for Sequoia County right on up through 8 o'clock tonight. So that's for another 12 minutes. That might be extended. It just depends upon how this storm continues to track to the northeast. But if you are in northern Sequoia County or in southern portions of Adair County, you just have to be pretty much aware of what we see. Here's the latest new update with what we have. So this is Val's just going parallel to this, and so this is these little kinks are a bit of a problematic. So that will continue to keep us in a concern for what's happening here. So you can kind of see this is pushing to the east from the west and pushing to the east, and then that's kind of pulling this back in a little bit. So we do know that there's a bit of a circulation feature right through here, and then if this would tighten up, then that's where the most likely area of rotation and tornado would be located. So that's why this isn't over with yet. So if you're with us on this, we're continuing to watch what's going on here. And then Val, he just doesn't have a ton going on with him at this particular moment, even though he's parallel to what's happening here. So he's moving on pretty much from, it's really almost into brushy right now. So at least he has some pretty good cell coverage for him. And then that's taking it along the highway and then moving it. So there's still some strong winds. He's getting close to getting snapped by that a little bit as that moves to the northeast. So there's some winds of probably 50 to 60 miles an hour. Tornado warning still continuing till 8 o'clock tonight. And we are going to do another update on storm track here in a minute. We'll try not to have Stacia talk very long, though. That's going to be the key issue there. Heavy rains, and you notice the lightning as well has moved pretty much all the way into southwestern Adair County. And so there's not much happening now as far as lightning strikes, so it's almost impossible to see what's happening on the south end. And the lightning strikes are all up in this zone around the brush area and then extending back to the north. So this is the heavy rain. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this area, so that's covering what was the tornado warning part of the tornado warned storm, and so that's moving further to the north, and so now we're putting a severe thunderstorm warning on this label, and so that will continue to move across Stillwell with heavy rains, lightning, thunder, some gusty winds, possibly over 50 miles an hour. And then back on the south side, even though there's no lightning, that's where we're looking for the potential for the rotating part of the storm. So that's one of those things that we'll have to keep track of. And speaking of track, do you have a little bit of a track?
I do have a track, and I will say for Emery now, who's traveling on I-40, it's a little easier of a drive as he's headed over towards Sallisaw, because the strongest part of this storm is in northern parts of Sequoia County now. So the latest track takes it up to Stony Point at 7:58, and you see Emery's video there on the screen, still driving through some rain, but a lot easier of a drive, which is good. Greasy would be about 8 o'clock, Reeder Ford at 8:11, Bell, which is in Adair County, that would be at 8:12, and Salem at about 8:17. So again, this circulation feature still incorporated with the tornado warning until 8 o'clock, but that will be tracking just kind of on the northern tier of Sequoia County and crossing over Highway 59, which is where we see Val right now, and that will then move over towards Stony Point and probably just pass right on the south side of Greasy. Trav?
And I see temperatures are still running in the upper 60s to 70 feeding into that. There's not a whole lot of strong winds. Sallisaw had a southeast wind gusting to 17. But there's some moderate to heavy rainfall in a few of those areas. We do have a little bit of, I would say, with the severe thunderstorm that's in southern portions of Adair County. You can see there's temperatures. I was looking at another graphic, but so that's moist air, shooting into this at this point. And that's that rain cool air from the thunderstorms. Then we've rebounded 67. Notice Stillwater's out at 54. And once you get out in the Panhandle, then it's going to start getting colder because that storm system is going to be bringing in that colder air that we talked about at, I think it was during our 6 o'clock newscast. This is quiet right now, and so he's gotten out of the rain a little bit. We do have the severe thunderstorm warning till 8:30, and right now we are sitting at 7:52. The tornado warning continues in effect until 8 o'clock, and we'll see if we're going to be replacing this with a severe thunderstorm warning or if we're going to continue with a tornado warning. The couplet isn't as impressive, but it's still something that is on the south side feeding in, or I should say it's being fed in with some of the stronger winds that are coming, I should say the warm, moist air that's coming in on not so strong a south winds. And so that's making a difference as far as what's happening. If we had really strong winds, that would most likely already be a tornado. Fortunately for us, it's not. So there's some good news on that. As far as looking at the bigger picture and the heavy rains, we still have moderate rains going on also from southeast of Wagner, east side of Muskogee, and I was getting some hail reports, some pea-sized hail out of some of this. So don't be surprised if you're like, why is there hail? I thought that was rain. That sounds awful loud for rain. Well, there's probably some pea-sized hail in some of this, and also just southeast of Choteau again. Brandon's up to the north, and so we'll continue to monitor what's going on with these cells. You can see Bob's around the Lake 10 killer area watching for any of these additional ones to flare up because there's still a chance because we're just in very warm, moist, humid air, which is highly unusual for this time of year to be in this situation. So that's what we have right now. Val's video still not really much going on. If you can see Bob there, and then the tornado watch still in effect till 10 o'clock. They did take out multiple counties now. Tulsa's officially out of it. Okmulgee County down through Hughes County and up to around Craig County is out. Notice how southeast Kansas is not out of it yet. Some of that has to do with the fact that there's still parts of the storm. It's kind of like moving northeast. It's still wrapping around up to the north. But we still are situated with, there's another cell out west of Oklahoma City. So that's part of the boundary, I think, that's out west that'll have to come through. Additional cells are up in southeast Kansas there. They even have a warning, looks like south of Lawrence. And then, widening out, take a look at what's going on up north. Do you want to be up north right now? I don't think so. Maybe you want to be in Denver if you love skiing, because there's probably about a foot or two of fresh powder in some of the ski resorts. I haven't looked at those today. Kind of jealous. You don't want to be in eastern Colorado trying to get to a ski resort right now because that would not be good. As this is, again, winter storm warning all across this area. We have freezing rain going on in Nebraska and also in Iowa. It is a big, big storm system. And that's why we're also having such warm weather here. And that's why we're getting our tornado watches as well across our area. So that's what's going on right now. Back into our area and to get a closer inspection on the tornado warned storm. And we'll take a look at Val and Sequoia's video and see what we have going on here as well. And then we'll take a look at the velocity data from here. Sequoia's in the middle of some heavy rains at this point. And so you see his video on the left side. And so he's right in the midst of that. Val is also in there at this moment. Val's video, Sequoia's looks pretty wild. Do you have any wind estimates from him, Aaron?
He hasn't seen a ton of real intense wind yet. His video's been up, but he's been kind of in and out. So I'll go a little bit and talk to him, and then I won't be able to.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of so a couple of those areas are hard to get cell coverage out of. Stacia, do you have an update as far as what you see over there?
I still think that it's moving at about 35. It doesn't seem like it's nearly as fast as it once was. And it looks like that area of rotation is still pretty broad, but something that's worth watching. Take a look here. This is kind of the big picture of the velocities with this storm. And you still see that there is a little curvature just on the north side, just north of where Val is. And Val's on Highway 59 north of Brushy. So just to the west of Stone Stony Point, that little curvature in there, that's where we would find the rotation with this storm. And the tornado warning still has about 3 to 4 more minutes with it. We'll see what they decide to do, the National Weather Service, because this storm could still wrap back up again. But right now, it doesn't look like it's nearly as impressive when it comes to rotation. This is more of a very heavy rainmaker now, some hail potential. Most of the lightning, the concentration of that is up to the north into parts of Adair County. And so for Adair County, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. You have some strong winds, especially from Cherry Tree down to Greasy. Kind of the leading edge of those really strong winds is right along Highway 59, Trav, at this point.
All right, and so I appreciate that. Again, tornado warning till 8 o'clock. Station just mentioned that. Severe thunderstorm warning till 8:30 for southern Adair County as that storm continues to track to the east-northeast and the winds associated with it. Just got a report from Sequoia through Aaron of winds of about 30 to 35 miles an hour is what he is witnessing right now. And you can see from that's what he has going on. Still lots of water falling with this. So that's the situation with Sequoia. And so there has been several areas that picked up quite a bit of a rainfall. And don't be surprised, low water crossings, some of those areas could end up causing some problems. So if you have some travel plans at this hour of the night, just be aware that this is an area that's been saturated with quite a bit of rain over the course of the last month. So the drought conditions have gone pretty much away compared to the rest of our area. So there could be some quick runoff, especially in some of these areas that are picking up an inch, 2 inches, 1.2 inches of rain right in that area. Let's go to Val's video if we could for a moment and see, he just had a car pass by his location. I'm gonna get out of the screen here for a minute. So he's getting some pretty heavy rainfall, trying to estimate some of the winds right now, but so he's moving down with moderate to heavy rainfall. And so really Sequoia and Val are both in the same place. They are just to the west of Stony Point and just to the north of Brushy at this time. So that's where we're finding the guys as they're covering that rain and heavy rain and all that's going on right in that location. So we do want you to be advised for that. We are talking again about, we don't see any additional tornado warning issued. I'm going to tell the control room if the tornado warning goes off, we will go back to programming, and then we'll be cutting in with continued updates through the 8 o'clock hour until our 9 o'clock newscast, if that is the case. At this point, it's a little hard to indicate because we are at this point not seeing, they're going to go with a severe thunderstorm warning that'll go now till 8:45. So control room, we're going to be going to our programming here in just a minute. New severe thunderstorm warning will be replacing the tornado warning. Here it is right now. So this will be going till 8:45 for a severe thunderstorm for winds to 60 miles per hour. If we could go full screen for a moment. Thanks. So this is what we have right now. Severe thunderstorm warning until 8:45 for northern portions of Sequoia County. And then we still have our severe thunderstorm warning till 8:30 for basically the southeastern and eastern portions of Adair County. So that's what we have at this moment. Not an active tornado situation at all. Rain and thunderstorms are primarily from Highway 69 to the east. And we are going to have continued updates as we go through the 8 o'clock hour. So I hope you stay with us. Keep it here. We'll keep you advised.